Hello and welcome back to Shinelikeadiamond.initiative with me, Priscilla Gillespie, and Jenny. Jenny is here again to help us tackle some of these questions and topic that we are being given by people out there who are still struggling. And the first question actually we have is from Helen. Helen Mosau is a special needs teacher in charge of the children of the King's Parochial and Special Care Unit in Embakasi. I'm sure you guys know where that is. I did take a trip to Kenya, and I was privileged enough to be able to go into these institutions and see some of the amazing work that is out there. Unfortunately, the only problem is there isn't so much support out there. So this school is actually they have about 20 children who have complex needs, but they all vary from autism and ADHD and a lot. There's not much knowledge and there's not much support. So the teacher felt that if we kind of help them to know what equipment or what activities they can even do out there before they get all the sensory equipments to use. So now she wants to understand when a child has got special sensory issues, overstimulated and understimulated, what is the best way to go about it? Remember, there's also something she's saying about handling learners with autism and at the same time dealing with adolescents. It's a tough one.
That is a tough one, yeah. And it's one that I've had to deal with in the recent past. I had no idea how to deal with it, to be honest with you. I ended up, I asked lots of parents and all of them had different answers because their journey was different to mine. I found I got some really good, useful knowledge from books I found online about adolescents, because when there's sensory issues involved, when your body's changing and your brain is changing, the young person really struggles to cope with it. They really struggle. They don't understand what's happening to them. And so I found a couple of books that were very, very good at explaining it and putting it in a way that my child would understand, that I didn't have the language for, myself. And I read them myself and I thought, well, this is simple enough, it's simple enough pictures, and I'm not saying go out and buy books because not everybody can do that, but there are lots of free things on the internet as well that you could use as a resource to share with parents who can then share it with their child.
Unfortunately, when you go to that part of the world where we went to see these children, and Helen, you're doing an amazing work, they don't have a lot to their disposal.
No.
So they didn't have a lot of books. There's no computer system in the church. So if you kind of just give her a couple of things that maybe she might try to help these children.
When it comes to the sensory issues, for an overstimulated child, when my daughter's been overstimulated, she likes to be in an environment that's very dark. She doesn't like hard materials on her skin, soft clothing, no noise, so quiet, often a dark space, sometimes even a small space, a space that you would look at and think, how are they going to get in and out of there? But like a tunnel, they feel safe in there.
Comfort zone.
It's a comfort zone. And so even a space like that, and it doesn't have to be something that you buy, it can be something you make with materials you have lying around.
Very good idea.
A den, make a den for them. And let them help choose what goes in there, because then it's their space then.
Very good idea.
For an understimulated child, like sometimes they would like noisy environment. Things like even crunchy foods gives them a sort of biological feedback that their system craves. So crunchy foods, lighting, disco lights, bright coloured things, even messy things,
Yeah.
which some children like, some children don't. Trying to think now what other things have worked for me, because there's so many of them.
Yeah.
Playground equipment,
Yeah.
like swings, spinning, even just spinning on a chair that spins, an office chair,
Yeah.
spinning on an office chair.
Just give them a feedback.
Yeah, they love it. It helps their vestibular system, which is part of their sensory system inside, to know where they are in space and time.
Yeah.
So it helps them feel comfortable.
Well, Ellen, there you go. That's a very good answers there. That is going to help everybody out there who has these sensory issues to understand at least where to begin from. We're going to continue giving you more information, of course, as we keep acquiring it as we go along. She also has a question in regards to ADHD. And she says, how do you help a child settle down and what activities are needed? She also has a child who has a bit of a habit of destroying their clothes and bringing, they have short attention span. How do we get these children engaged?
I have a little bit of experience about the chewing, well, not of clothes, it was other things that my daughter chewed. Everything went in her mouth. Because if she looked at something and she thought it looked good, it would go in her mouth. It was her way of discovering the world. So she would want to put it in her mouth. And often it would be things that have no business being in your mouth, like the electrical cord on a lamp and things that are dangerous. So it's a case of taking that away, and the child possibly likes the feeling of the wet clothing in the mouth, and there'll be something in that they like and they crave that because it helps them feel calm. So if you could replace it with something similar but not the clothing, so for instance a cloth that's maybe similar texture, they can chew on that and say to them, this is you can chew on that. If you feel you want to chew on the clothing, chew on this instead. It's about distracting them away from the dangerous things or the things they shouldn't chew on, and giving them an alternative that's safe for them.
That's a very good point, because a lot of people I spoke to didn't seem to understand the whys behind this behavior. So something like that you just said, I think is very important. Instead of taking away, replace it. But with safety.
My daughter had chewable jewellery that was made from silicone, so she would wear it to school. It was like a necklace on a lanyard thing, and anytime she felt the need to chew, because for instance she was going up and licking radiators and stuff like that in school, and you think, oh, that's awful to think that she's doing that, it's not good. And until we discovered this chewable, she was able to do it safely. She now doesn't do it. She now doesn't do it at all.
Very good.
But it's just a case of having something there that they can use rather than taking it away. Because thinking about it, if you take it away, then that thing is helping them feel safe and calm.
I agree.
If you take it away, then they will probably act out.
Yes, I agree with that. And that's the thing where a lot of people there don't understand, because there's not much knowledge for them to understand. Because I remember the same thing when I took a short course to understand what really happens within their world. Because if you have a child who cannot communicate, it's so hard to be able to translate what they're trying to tell you.
You have to try and become an interpreter of every action and behaviour.
Indeed. It's so hard. So for you to get to a point where you understand, I remember watching this video where they put in a loud sound on the telly, and then somebody started boiling the kettle, and another person was walking around stamping. But we have a way of blocking things out, where these children, because of their sensory issues, they process every
noise, every single noise. So if there's even the sound of car driving past in the street when there's lots of noise in the house or the school, they will hear every sound. They can't filter it out, and that's why places like supermarkets are very difficult, because there's a lot of noise that they can't filter out.
So anyway, any of you please, if you find your child having a behavior that you cannot explain, let's try and bring these questions in so we can be able to get more ideas on how we can alter these things and maybe try and change it. Instead of removing, let's try and change, and we do it safely. So these children are not having to just grab everything that is around them and put it in the mouth, because as we know, it's all because of sensory. So thank you for watching. We're going to continue with these questions, and please keep them coming. We're going to share all our platforms so that you have a way to reach us. And we continue to tackle this subject as we continue to go along. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be back soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.